All right, how's everyone doing? I'm Rich CELENZA. Thanks for tuning in to the Rich CELENZA Show. WTF are you talking about? Today's podcast, I'm going to call it Speak to Your Soul. Now, I know you may think I'm crazy with some of these titles I come up with, but I think the one thing I think people a lot of times that I've seen over the years neglect is listening to their inner selves and literally communicating with it. Now, you may think I'm nuts. And I know we all walk around, we're thinking about certain things, what we should and shouldn't be doing, all that type of shit. But I truly believe your body and your mind is also talking to you. It's not just about the thoughts you're thinking. I started to do this when I was younger. I was in a lot of pain when I was younger for some weird reason. I had a lot of earaches, teeth issues, and then I eventually had a hernia at a very young age. And then I had my tonsils removed. My throat was closing up. It was turning black. I couldn't breathe. And then even when my mother had my tonsils removed, it was a game changer for me. But then even throughout my early teens, my bones were always hurting. I was pulling out my back. I think one of the reasons was I played so many sports and I lifted weights like crazy even as a young boy, not even knowing what I was doing. But I always wanted to be, I would never stop moving. I think they even want to put me on Ritalin. But anything physical, and I was fortunate enough to live behind one of the biggest YMCAs in the entire Midwest, so I had a huge field. I had a couple gymnasiums in there, weights, racquetball, all these things. But I physically did not feel good. And one of the other reasons, I think it was the weather. I just don't feel good in cold weather. It sounds crazy. I just feel like shit. And eventually I moved to Florida at 18, and that was a game changer for me. I felt 100 times better. But when I was younger, and all this pain a lot of times, and I started talking to myself saying, what's going on here, and trying to figure out how to internally cure myself, or like, what's going on here? I just couldn't figure it out. And as time went on, I used to goof around and say there's like three voices in my head, not in a bad way, but you kind of always have a voice that says, hey, let's go do this, 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 this. And then the other voice is like, hey, slow down, let's cool out. That may be dangerous, or that may not be as fun as you think, or we can't afford it, or this or that. Then I always had a third voice that used to jump in, and I put it in a screenplay, the third voice would be telling these two, just shut the hell up and go do what you got to do. Right? But when it came to me, I was always kind of studying internally and talking to my body, saying, is this working for us? And like, even if, like for years, like I've discovered, for me, this sounds like a joke. I still do it at 50 years old, eating oatmeal in the morning every morning that I can, with orange juice and Flintstone vitamins if I could, really makes me feel 100 times better than if I don't do it. Is it a placebo at this point? I don't know. But I do know by doing certain things throughout the day, I was feeling a certain way. And if I did other things, I did not feel very good. Even with my sleeping, if I didn't get a certain amount of sleep, I was really studying it and saying, well, I wake up, I feel this way, or I feel this way. If I don't take a nap when I feel this way, all these things are happening. What am I drinking? Like, I never really liked alcohol. Of course, I had drinks. I didn't like drugs at all. I didn't even like the way, when I was younger, they would put me on different types of drugs because, antibiotics, you're getting sick and all these things. It would flip on me. It actually gave me more energy. It was supposed to make me sleep, for instance, or not have. It was really weird. I was supposed to be taking things that were supposed to help with pain, and I actually felt more pain. But if you're somebody out there that, you just can't put a handle on a lot of crazy shit that's always going on in your life, one of the things I tell people, or I'm telling you, is you may be doing a lot of things that is not helping you and hurting you. And that can even be things that you think are healthy. It's not just, I talk about, if you watch any of my YouTube videos about fitness, a lot of people regarding working out, especially ones that aren't working out correctly, aren't always helping themselves. They're sometimes hurting themselves. They may not be doing the equipment or whatever type of activity they're doing correctly. They may have the wrong shoes. If you're a runner, you may not be stretching properly. You may be working out too much. You may be going in too cold and hitting it too fast. You may be doing too many workouts. You may not be getting the right amount of nutrition. to carry the load of your workouts. You may be not getting enough sleep. And I just did a video too on people that like work out hard all week, and then on weekends they party, do drugs, alcohol, whatever the case may be, and then they jump back in the gym and they wonder why they feel like shit at the beginning of the week. I'm just using that for example. There's tons of different things. And we kind of just neglect that. Your body is talking to you a lot of times, right? And when I got heavy, I knew this, and that's, I kept pushing the boundary. I was 210, 220, 230, 240, 250. And I knew when I hit about 247, around 250, that I was totally neglecting what my body was telling me. My body was literally saying, you may be very strong. I mean, literally my body's saying, you're very strong right now, lifting a lot of weight, but you're not going to live that long. I'm telling you right now. I mean, literally, my mind was telling me this, and I was almost arguing with it. You may think I'm crazy. But even when I remember going upstairs, and I've discussed this before on my podcast, I would almost feel like I'm going to have a heart attack. And I remember opening gifts, I'd be profusely sweating, but then I would blow it off because I'd go in the gym and I'd be lifting these weights, and I felt so strong when I was lifting weights. It was like a balance between feeling really super strong and being as big as I finally got to where I wanted to be. And on the other end saying, oh my God, you went into lifting weights to become strong, fit, and keep your flexibility. And before you know it, you became, in my opinion, this is what I was speaking to myself, saying, now you're insecure. You have issues, dude. Like no matter how big you get, it's never enough. You basically, and I used to call it reverse anorexiism. No matter how much I ate, it was never enough. I become a glutton. Everything. So I took something that was supposed to start off very healthy, which it did, and I turned it unhealthy. But I'm arguing with myself. And I remember even going to Vegas. Was it for my honeymoon? Or maybe after that. And I was like a 54, 56 coat. And I knew I was heavier on the waist. But I remember him coming out, and I got fitted for a couple suits, and he brought out 2 belts for me. And I guess my waist might have been it. I didn't even realize. I thought my waist was 35, 36. At this point, it was probably a 38, 30 to 40. It was big. He held up the belts. And I remember looking at the belts. The belts were almost as tall as the guy helping me. And I said, what are you doing with these big belts? He goes, oh, no, these are for you. They're size whatever. I get 38 to 42 or something. I says, what? I didn't even know my waist got that big. But I knew inside, my mind kept saying, you are getting too heavy. We're not feeling good. You think you feel good. You're bullshitting yourself. And I think a lot of people do this to themselves. They keep lying to themselves, saying they're going to be fine. They're okay. I can drink this amount of booze, hypothetically. I could do these type of drugs, I'll be fine. Or I could work X amount of hours, I'm going to be fine. And a lot of people can be fine. I'm not saying they can't. A lot of people could do a lot of things to their body and just get away with it for long periods of time. But some people can't. And also, in the long term, you may not realize it, especially if you're in your 20s and 30s and you're doing a lot of things. Now that I'm 50, you realize when you're 50, you're going to pay a price for a lot of these things. From the way you look, the way you feel, what you're doing to your skin, what you're just doing to your body internally. So please pay attention to that. And I'm telling you, listen to your body. Let me grab some water here. I've gotten to the point where it's a weird relationship I have with my body because I'm always talking to it. I'm not just thinking about other things that I have to do that day or what's on my mind regarding work or if I'm traveling somewhere. Even if I'm walking in an airport, I'm like, dude, what do you feel like right now? Like, should you have a coffee? You feeling dehydrated? Should you grab a banana? Instead of a coffee, should you get an orange juice? Are you tired? What's going on here? What do you think, what's going to help you feel better? Like, I'm discussing these things with myself. And weird things start happening when my body literally starts to tell me what I need. And it almost leads me there. It could be even when I sit down a lot of times to eat a meal. Sometimes where to back off. Sometimes, I like to eat a lot of Chicago-style food, comfort food. I love Italian food. Sometimes I get caught up with eating too much pasta per day or per week. My body tells me, hey, time to back off the pasta. I'm going to tell you right now, you're overloading. Or time to do this, time to do that. Pay attention to those things, all right? Really have a relationship with your inner soul, right? And don't be afraid to question certain things and don't be afraid to change it up. Because I think we all fall into a routine and it becomes part of our identity. And a lot of that identity, after a while, is not what you thought it would be. It could be even smoking, like I said, maybe over drinking. It can be even being obsessed with football. You may have loved football here and there. Before you know it, you're sitting around watching, just pros. Before you know it, you get a little obsessed with college. Before you know it, Monday night. Before you know it, you're just full blown. I'm just using that for example because I was one of these guys. Then you're obsessed with watching football and you're gearing your whole life around football and it's affecting other parts of your life. But again, if you discuss things or figure it out with yourself, to step back and look at yourself and say, wait a minute, I didn't mean for it to go this far. And talk to yourself a little bit and go, how do we change this? How do I back this up a little bit? I do love football, but maybe I should only watch the games I want to get. I didn't have to buy the NFL package. I don't have to do this or that. And these are just all things that I've gone through. And I think a lot of people go through them as well. But please, talk to yourself. I'm telling you, instead of just we're always distracted, I think more than ever with a phone. So we're more caught up watching things, at least I am a lot of times with YouTube especially, but even with social media, television, Netflix, hypothetically, whatever the case may be, we're always wanting to be distracted from ourselves. And I think that's one of the worst things we could do. Have that relationship with yourself. The best relationship you could have is with yourself, because I promise you, the more you start figuring out who you are and what you want out of your life and not being miserable, the better off you're going to be around other people. Because I know a lot of times when I'm an asshole, it's because I'm kind of neglecting myself or I'm doing things to myself that I know that are burning me out. It could be with work, whatever I'm doing. It could be the way I'm getting pissy because I didn't go to the gym as much as maybe I wanted, or I'm pissy because I didn't get to eat what I want to eat. All this stupid shit. Again, talk to yourself and just say, hey, cool out. Become self-aware. My God, so many people are not self-aware. Their behavior, their tone, the way they act. And sometimes I fall in that category, but the one thing I've been trying to study the most is my self-awareness. And even if I'm around religion, I'm not going to throw religion in here, but I have a lot of family members that are all different types of religion now. Some are Christians, just regular, whatever. Some are Catholics, some are Lutherans, hypothetically. Some are, I even have, what was I going to say? Jehovah's Witnesses in my family. I have all different stuff. Some are atheists. And, when I listen to them, I want to respect them. Sometimes I want to argue with them, but it's really not worth it. But again, I like hearing everybody's perspective, and then I talk to myself about it. If you have questions about your religion, or you may, have certain beliefs that you may or may not believe anymore, think about it, right? Just don't be afraid to think about who you are and what your beliefs, your values are, any of those type of things. Because the more you think about actually who you are as a person, I think the better off you're going to be. It's just my perspective. So I'm going to leave it at that. If you get a chance, definitely check out my YouTube videos if you're looking to gain some muscle, lose some weight. And I've discussed this before. They're just not videos of people working out or me working out. It's me trying to help people build strength, lose weight, all those type of things, but taking it from a realistic approach. I'm also on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. All right? All right, take care, and if you're traveling, safe travels.